Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. You mentioned a few things about having a team culture, having a shared identity throughout the team. Would you like to give us an example?
Yeah, well, let's start with like shared identity because that comes straight from team bonding. Then we start going into okay, shared identity. All right, now like okay, now I'm cultivating, I'm taking into account all the information that I've learned. Now, how does all this information fit together, and what is the combination of that identity? And whatever that is, that's what I'm supposed to speak to as a leader of my team. And it gives everybody a sense of value. And as long as we have that sense of value and importance, we have energy to go along with that to put forth positive goals, which is team goals, right? So, we start moving from that shared identity space, and then we start saying, okay, now how do I like make this practical? I got the idea, the big picture thing. It has to turn to practicality. So the practical nature of it is this: team culture. Team culture. That's the visual aids. Whatever I put around my building, whatever I put around my room, it's the spoken language, the words that I use, the interaction patterns we have, like what boundaries we've set within the team culture, like between the team dynamics, like it's everything you see, everything you do, all the ways in which you move, how you begin practices, how you end practices, which I would want to know. Rituals are a powerful way of continuing to help people remember what's most important. Even though I had to go through all of this during practice, coach reminded me before practice that we have that with the ritual. Practicing hard leads to success. Like, I don't know. Anything that a coach has, the coaches have their own selective ways of integrating different philosophies. But when we formulate rituals that are holistic in nature and positive and generate positive energy towards progress, even though we may be practicing, we may have had a hard day that day, we may have had a hard game, we may not have been successful, we still have something to look forward to from a ritual perspective. We have something to look forward to that keeps us founded on our foundation of who we are and where we desire to go as a team. And we begin on that, we end on that. That keeps us focused as a team. It keeps us integrated as a team. It keeps that shared identity flowing in a practical nature in which our culture is now supporting our climate, which we're going to talk about next. A team climate is a little bit different. It's the behaviors and attitudes that are indoctrinated that may occur within your culture or within your system. Climate comes with, you got a player who has having family issues. You got a player who, dad didn't come home last night. You got a player who friend got into an accident. You dealing with all these different emotions, behaviors, attitudes, and your job hasn't changed as a coach. You're still there to help help cultivate young people, right? So you have to be able to take into account, like, my climate is not always going to fit my culture. And there's only one answer: be there, be openly available, holistically available to the person, not as your player, but as a person. And the person is a player. The person is a person and a player. You got person development, you got player development. But you got to be available to the holistic nature of the person in order to get the player out of it. And I think sometimes we look at that backwards, and sometimes we don't give that the attention it deserves, and we end up hurting the individual more than we intended to when we actually intended to help. And it's because our focus was on something different. That's why team bonding leads all the way into team climate. Like, if I can bond with my team initially, what says I can't bond with them whenever they're going through something? It sets the precedence for continual behavioral habits within your culture to show people that they're supported and that this sport that we're doing, like, this develop who you are at your best. This is not just for the sport. The sport, we're gonna get the best out of the sport by making you your best person.
Visit thebmsproject.org to learn more. Together, here for our youth.